Okay students, we already discussed in our previous class what is a respiration, and we are seeing what are the steps are presented in the respiration. We are seeing in the respiration total 5 steps are presented. Out of 5 steps we already completed 4 steps. Now we are going to discuss the last step, that one is in a cellular respiration. So today our concept is in a cellular respiration. So here before going to discuss the cellular respiration, first of all we have to define what is the respiration. So here if you see the what is the respiration means, you already have an idea. In our first class only we are discussed that what is the respiration. What is the respiration means, here respiration means nothing but, here when you are want to define the respiration means I given a one equation for the respiration process. So here respiration process means when you are taking any energy fuel. Energy fuel means what? Glucose. Energy fuel means glucose. When the glucose was reacts with the oxygen, when it was reacts with the oxygen means what it will be liberating. What it will be liberating means it was liberating the energy. It was liberating the energy. So here if you take the glucose we already we also called as an energy fuel. When this glucose was reacts with the oxygen means it was liberating the energy. At the same time it was liberating the water and it will be liberating the CO2 and very little amount of heat also they are liberating. So this complete whole process we are called as a respiration. So here if you see means, here I am asking about the what is a cellular respiration. What is a cellular respiration means, this complete process. For example, if you see the glucose when it will be reacts with the oxygen means it will be liberating the energy means that process we call as a respiration. But if you take this respiration process where it will be done, where it will be done means it was done at the place of cell. Where it was done at the place of cell it was done. So that's why we are calling this respiration as a cellular respiration. We are called as a cellular respiration. Cellular respiration means nothing but at the place of cell we can able to see the glucose and oxygen both are reacted and liberating the energy means that process we are called as a cellular respiration. For example, if you see the what are the steps are present in the respiration means, we already seen 5 steps. What are those means? Breathing, gases exchange at the tissue alveoli level, gases transported by the blood and gases exchange at the tissue level. So when the gases exchange will be taking place at the tissue level, you know that. For example, if you see that these are the cells. These are the cells. For example, when the cells are grouped means what we are calling them as tissues. For example, at the place of the tissue, what happens means our blood will be liberating, releasing the oxygen. And through this blood onwards only, glucose also transporting. So when there is a cells are required energy. For example, if you take in our body is completely constituted by the cells only. And even you have in our 9th class, there is a cell lesson we have for us. For example, in the cell lesson, we already seen one definition. What is a cell? Ask means what you are defining that. So here you are defining that cell is a basic unit of structure. And why we are calling as a basic unit of structure means our complete body. For example, not only us, every living thing body was constituted. Constituted means they are made up of cells. That's why we are calling the cell is a basic unit of life. But when you are want to give the accurate definition for the cell means, cell is a not only basic unit of structure, even we are calling the cell is a basic unit of function also. Basic unit of function means whatever the functions will be performing your body. For example, if you see in our body we are see the lot of the functions will be performing. For example, if you see the digestion, circulation, respiration, excretion, and we are see the so many systems are working and so many functions are performing. All these functions are want to perform is we require the cell. So without cell there is no any any function was not performed. So that's why we are calling the cell is in a basic unit of structure and we also call it as a basic unit of function. So here this way also, when you are taken in the cell, this cell will be helps in the energy process also, energy liberating process also they are helping. So that process what we calling is cellular respiration. So through the blood onwards what happens is the glucose and the oxygen will be circulating. So for example, before only we have discussed that. For example, if you see in present my condition means I am writing on the board. So when I am writing on the board means what happens? My palm and my fingers will be working. So here my palm and fingers are want to work means here the cells are want to become activate. When there will be activate means there will be energy means only they can activate. So for example, through the blood onwards the glucose and oxygen will be circulating. So where the cells are required the energy, so there will be performed the gases exchange at tissue level, and there they will be liberating the oxygen through the blood downwards. Glucose normally circulating. You know that hepatic portal system. So where the cells will be have, there the glucose and oxygen will be released. So when the glucose will be released after it was reacting with the oxygen. So when the glucose was reacts with the oxygen means it will be liberating the energy. And how we are denoted the energy means you know that we are denoted the energy in the form of an ATP. We are denoted in the form of an ATP. You know that adenosine triphosphate. So many times we are discussed that one. So when the glucose and oxygen reacts with after, they will be liberating the energy. So this process where we are what we calling means we are calling as a respiration, and where it was done means it was done at the place of cell. And that's why we are calling this complete process as a cellular respiration. We are called as a cellular respiration. And tell me one thing, why the cell was doing the respiration process and why the cellular respiration will be done. Sometimes in the examination like that also posing the questions on it. I mean cellular respiration at the end of the product energy will be liberating. You know that. So cellular respiration was done means only we are getting the energy. That energy will be helping to us in the survival process. Without energy there is no survival of any living thing. So that's why every cell will be in our body will be performing the respiration process, and it will be liberating the energy. By the help of that energy every living thing will be sustain their lives on the earth. And where it will be done means at the place of cell it was done. That's why we are calling this one as a cellular respiration. We are called as a cellular respiration. Cellular respiration means at the place of cell, glucose and oxygen will be reacts and it will be liberating the energy means that process we are called as a cellular respiration. So here if you see the cellular respiration in the cell also, exactly where it will be happen. Sometimes that one also asking and posing questions. In the cell, especially where it will be done. So you know that in the cell we are see the different cell organelles are presented. But before going to discuss that one, we have to know cellular respiration, how many types they are have. So in the cellular respiration we can able to see the two types. Already we know that. What we are know means in our second class we are discussing the types of respiration. So here if you see the cellular respiration we have two types. What are those means? One is an aerobic respiration, another one is an anaerobic respiration. Another one is an anaerobic respiration. We already discussed about these two. Actually before only why I am discussing these two means I don't want to confuse you. So here if you take the respiration means in the respiration we can able to see the two processes are involved. I mean two types of the respirations are involved. What are those two types means? One is an aerobic, another one is an anaerobic. You know that what is an aerobic respiration, what is an anaerobic respiration. For example, aerobic respiration means you know that the glucose, when you are taking a glucose means the glucose when it was reacts with the oxygen. When it was reacts with the oxygen means it will be liberating the energy. And how we are denoted the energy means we are denoted as an ATP. Simple and write as an ATP. So in that process only they are liberating the carbon dioxide and they are also liberating the water and little amount of heat also they are liberated. So here when the glucose was reacts with the oxygen means that process we are called as an aerobic respiration. We call as an aerobic respiration. And the next one, what is an anaerobic respiration? Anaerobic respiration means you know that. So if the glucose reacts with the oxygen means that process and that type of respiration we call as an aerobic respiration. If the glucose was not reacting, I mean if there is a, sometimes we have seen the oxygen depth condition. We see the oxygen depth condition. Oxygen depth condition means you know that. So if you are seeing in our body sometimes they will be have some chances to deficiency of oxygen. And why it will be happen you know that. Already we discussed at the exchange at the tissue level, and there we already discussed that exchange, I mean oxygen depth means sometimes we are doing the vigorous exercise. Vigorous exercises means we are doing the lot of exercises. At the same time we are doing the lot of work and we are doing the running, I mean when you are doing the running time also there is a no proper inhalation process will be done. So that's why what happens is our muscle cells are, I mean our cells are not getting the proper amount of oxygen. So that condition we call as an oxygen depth, but we require the energy. So in that time what happens is the glucose without oxygen they will be breaking down and it will be liberating the energy. So that process we are called as an anaerobic respiration. In that process only they are liberating the a little amount of water they are liberating. At the same time they are liberating the lactic acid. They are liberating the lactic acid. In the place of CO2 they are liberating the lactic acid. So in the examination they are asking you what is the difference between aerobic and anaerobic respiration means basing on this equation we can able to write. So here if you take the aerobic respiration means the glucose breakdown with the help of oxygen and it will be liberate the ATP means it will be liberate the energy means that process called as anaerobic. If the glucose without oxygen they are breaking down means we are called as anaerobic respiration, and in that process what happens means it will be liberating the lactic acid. And you know that, so in the aerobic respiration we can able to see the liberating of ATP. In the anaerobic respiration also ATP will be liberated. But is there any difference between them means you know that. For example, if you take the aerobic respiration, number of ATPs are more. I mean if you take the glucose when it was reacts with the oxygen it will be liberating the energy means that ATP was how many they are in number means total 38 ATPs will be released. So 38 ATPs means it will be having a more amount of energy. When you are taking the anaerobic respiration here also glucose breaking down and it will be liberating the energy. But how many ATPs are releasing means here we can able to see only 2 ATPs only releasing. So here if you see the what is the difference between aerobic and anaerobic respiration means you have to write down aerobic respiration. First point you have to write down like this: aerobic respiration was done by the help of the oxygen. When you are taking the anaerobic respiration means it was done in the absence of oxygen. So here if you see the aerobic respiration the amount of energy was more. When you are taking the anaerobic respiration means here it will be done energy how many ATPs are released means very less amount of ATPs are released. So here in the aerobic respiration the end products are CO2 and water. If you take the anaerobic respiration means the end product is a lactic acid. So here if you see the lactic acid was formed means is there any problem to us? Actually you know or don't know that if you are gone to the intermediate second year there we can able to see the muscle contraction. I mean if you see the actin and myosin fibers are presented and they will be contract means only our muscles can able to move. So here there we can able to discuss that lactic acid means in your textbook they given a very minute explanation only. When the anaerobic respiration will be take place after lactic acid will be released. And that lactic acid what will be happen means that lactic acid will be accumulated in your muscle cells. If the lactic acid was accumulated in your muscle cells means we can able to see the a little bit of swelling like a bulge like will become. If the swelling or bulge will become means what happen? And it will be cause the some pain to us. And later some of time complete after this lactic acid will be mixed with the blood. Like that they will be given explanation. But actually correct one what happen means sometimes this lactic acid will be even they are converted number of chemical reactions will be done and it will be converted into sometimes ATP. Sometimes the lactic acid will be converted into ATP. So here how many steps we are going to discuss it means aerobic ATP I mean oxygen in the presence of oxygen it was done in the absence of oxygen. And here the amount of energy was more, the amount of energy was less. And the third one what we discussed here the end products are CO2 and here it will be end product is a lactic acid. And the fourth difference you have to learn say that aerobic respiration was done in the normal condition. But if you take the anaerobic respiration means it was done at the oxygen depth condition. Oxygen depth condition means when there is a less amount of oxygen was having in our body in that time anaerobic respiration process was done. So here if you see means cellular respiration means what? Cellular respiration means if you know the what is the respiration means we can able to define the cellular respiration. So respiration means when the glucose reacts with the oxygen means it will be liberating the energy. That process we are called as a respiration. And where it was done means it was done at the place of cell. And why the cell only liberating? Why? Because cell is a basic unit of structure. Sometimes asking you why the cell only performing the cellular respiration? Why means the complete body was constituted by the cell only. That's why our body was performed. Every function was performed by the cells. Even the respiration process also done at the place of cell only. So that's why we are calling this process as a cellular respiration. Total how many steps are presented? Means in the respiration we can able to see the two types aerobic and anaerobic. You know that what is an aerobic and what is an anaerobic respiration. So here if you see the aerobic respiration in the normal condition, anaerobic respiration was done in the oxygen depth condition. And you know that what is a fermentation also, before we discuss it that one. Anaerobic respiration we also call as a fermentation. When we are calling as a fermentation. For example, if this anaerobic respiration was done in the microbes, means we call as a fermentation. For example, if you seen in our 8th class or 9th classes, we are seen so many times what is a fermentation. So many times we have discussed that. For example, if you take the microbes, these microbes will be useful in the alcohol preparation. Alcohol means alcoholic beverages. We are in the preparation, we are using them. So in our when our schools are opened after, we are going to discuss about how the alcohols are preparing. Actually, that one not given in our textbook, but we have to discuss that one. Okay. So here if you see the anaerobic respiration was done in the microbes also. So if the anaerobic respiration process was done in the microbes, means that process what we calling means we are calling as a fermentation. For example, if you see the anaerobic respiration in the microbes, means I can write here. Actual places not have there. So anaerobic respiration in the microbes, how it will be done means in the microbes we can able to see the glucose, and that glucose when it will be without oxygen reacts means it was liberating the energy. How much energy will be liberating is same 2 ATPs only they are liberating. So in that process only what they will be liberating is in the process, in the place of lactic acid, they can able to release the ethyl alcohol. They can able to release the ethyl alcohol and its formula is C2H5OH. And in that process only they are liberating the even carbon dioxide also. So if the anaerobic respiration process was done in the microbes means, and that process we are called as a fermentation. So tell me one thing, when you are taken in the cell, where this cellular respiration process was done, exactly where it will be done, now we are going to discuss. So where this cellular respiration was done in the cell means it was done in the cytoplasm and mitochondria. So here if you see me, this one also different in the prokaryotes and eukaryotes. Basing on the nucleus, we can able to see the two types of the cells are presented. And what are those two types of the cells means? One is a prokaryote and the one is a eukaryote. About the prokaryote and eukaryotes, we already learned in our previous classes. Once again here I will be explaining for you. So here prokaryotes means in the name only have, there is a two words are presented. One is a pro and the one is a karyote. Prokaryote, pro means what is the meaning for that means primitive. Pro means nothing but primitive. Karyote means we are calling the karyote means we are calling as a nucleus. So here if you take the cell means in the cell we can able to see the cytoplasm will be presented, and in the cytoplasm we can able to see the genetic material will be presented. On this genetic material around we can able to see the membrane like structure we see, and that one we call as a nuclear membrane. But here prokaryotes you have to see means in the prokaryotes there is a nuclear membrane will be absent. Nuclear membrane will be absent. So that's why what happens is this genetic material freely floated in the cytoplasm. So such a type of cells we call as a prokaryote. But when you are taking a eukaryote means again here also we can able to see the two words are presented. What are those two words means? One is in a U and the one is in a karyotes. So you already know that karyote means nucleus. U means what is the meaning for that means? U means nothing but advanced. Advanced means here the genetic material will be presented. On around this genetic material we can able to see the membrane like structure. We can see that one we call as a nucleus. A perfect nucleus we are seen are presented in the eukaryotes. So here for the prokaryotes, what are the examples means? Example for the prokaryote is in a bacteria. Bacteria is a example for the prokaryotes. When you are taking a eukaryote means what are the examples for the eukaryotes means? Plants and animals will be comes. But here I want to say the one more thing. When you are taking a cellular respiration means where it was done means cellular respiration means I am given a simply one equation for you. A glucose breakdown with the oxygen means it will be liberating the energy. At the same time it will be liberating the carbon dioxide and water. A single step single equation we are discussing that one. But if you take the cellular respiration is not a single equation, it's a number of reactions and number of steps are involved. And here they are not discussing all those in this class. And we are going to discuss about all those in our higher classes. For example, if you take the cellular respiration means in the cellular respiration we can able to see the glycolysis, we can able to see Krebs cycle will be presented, even we can able to see the electron transport, and last one is an oxidative phosphorylation. So here if you take the cellular respiration means I am given a simply one equation for you. Glucose breakdown with the oxygen and it will be liberating the energy. But it will be not only a single equation. Cellular respiration means is having a lot of number of reactions were presented. All those we are not discussing in this class. But here if you see means this complete process want to done means even a single place is not enough for them. So that's why here if you see means these all steps are occurred in the different parts in the cell. Exactly where it was done means it was done in the cytoplasm and mitochondria. If you take the eukaryotes means in the eukaryote we can able to see the cellular respiration process was done in the cytoplasm and mitochondria. But when you have taken the prokaryotes means in the prokaryote this cellular respiration process was done only in the cytoplasm only. And immediately you are asking me one question, sir, if you take the eukaryotes means in the eukaryotes we can able to see the cellular respiration process was done in the cytoplasm and mitochondria. Okay sir, we understood sir. But when you are taking a prokaryote means this cellular respiration process only done in the cytoplasm only. Why? You are asking that question me. Actually you already know the answer. Actually why the cellular respiration only occurred in the cytoplasm only in the prokaryote? Why it was occurred in the cytoplasm only means you know that actually here there is a primitive nucleus. There is a no exact nuclear membrane on around the nucleus. So here why it was done only in the cytoplasm means here the membrane bounded structures are absent. Membrane bounded structures means for example if you take the cell means not only nucleus, not only mitochondria we are seeing there. We are seeing the different organelles, cell organelles are presented. And what are the cell organelles we are seeing there means we can able to see the endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi complex, and we can able to see the centrioles, and we can able to see the mitochondria, and we can able to see the vacuoles, we can able to see the lysosome, we can able to see the ribosomes, and we can able to see the different cell organelles are presented. But out of all these, some of the cell organelles are membrane bounded structures. Membrane bounded structures means there along the organelle we can able to see the some particular membrane will be presented and it will be differentiating from the cytoplasm onwards. So here if you see the inside of the cell we can able to see the some organelles are presented. I mean we are calling them as a membrane bounded structures. I mean endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi complex, mitochondria. These are called as a membrane bounded organelles. Actually if you take the prokaryotes means before we discussed that even in the previous classes we learned that prokaryote and eukaryote what is the difference between them means in the prokaryotes we can able to see the primitive nucleus, in the eukaryote we can able to see the advanced nucleus. Second difference what you want to write means in the prokaryote membrane bounded structures are absent. I mean some of the cell organelles are absent. But when you are taking the eukaryotes means in the eukaryotes membrane bounded structures are present. So here if you see means membrane bounded structures are absent. I mean mitochondria is absent. So that's why complete cellular respiration process was done only in the cytoplasm. But when you are taken the eukaryotes means in the eukaryotes they are contain the membrane bounded structures. That's why they are occurred in the cytoplasm and mitochondria. Even now only we discussed that this cellular respiration is not a single step or not a single equation. In your textbook point of view I given only a single step only. But if you have taken the cellular respiration is a number of reactions was involved. A number of steps are involved. Completely we are classify them as 4 steps: glycolysis, Krebs cycle, electron transport, and oxidative phosphorylation. If you take the glycolysis, where it was done means it was done in the cytoplasm. When you are taken the Krebs cycle, where it was done means it was done in the mitochondria. When you are taken the electron transport, inner membrane of mitochondria. For example, if you take the glycolysis, cytoplasm, Krebs and electron transport both are done in the mitochondria. One is in the mitochondria, another one is in the inner membrane. Inner membrane means if you have to take the mitochondria, they have 2 membranes for them. And when you are taken the oxidative phosphorylation, there where it will be done means it was done in the same in the mitochondria only, but exactly where it means in the mitochondria we can able to see the F0, F1 particles. So except glycolysis remaining all are take place in the mitochondria only. So that's why here I wrote as a cellular respiration process was done in the cytoplasm and mitochondria. But when you are taken in the prokaryotes, I mean bacteria like organisms are not contain the membrane bounded structures. That's why all cellular respiration process was done in the only in the cytoplasm. Sometimes in the examination they are asking you why the cellular respiration only done in the cytoplasm only in the prokaryotes. As means we have to write down in the prokaryote there is a no membrane bounded structures. That's why we can able to see only in the cytoplasm only. So here if you see when the energy was liberated after what happened? ATP will be generated. ATP generated after what happened? You know that one glucose when it will be breakdown means total 38 ATPs will be released. So 38 ATPs released after what happened? These ATPs where it will be stored? Where it will be stored means these 38 ATPs was stored in the mitochondria. They will be stored in the mitochondria. And there it will be breakdown. For you know that ATP almost directly we are not getting the energy. So here ATP when it was lost the one phosphate molecule, you know that ATP means one adenosine molecule will be contain the 3 phosphate molecules. That's why we call as an adenosine triphosphate. But when we are required the energy means what happens? This adenosine triphosphate will be lost the one phosphate molecule. It will be loses. So when it will be lost the one phosphate molecule means it will be converted into ADP. Why means adenosine diphosphate, 2 phosphate molecules. In that process what happens means a little amount of energy will be liberated. And you know that one ATP when it will be converting into ADP time it will be liberating the energy. How much energy it can able to liberate, you know that? How much energy it will be liberating means it was liberating the 7200 calories of energy will be liberating. Each and every ATP when it will be converting into the ADP time it will be liberate the energy. But how much energy will be liberating is it was liberating the 7200 calories. 7200 calories energy will be liberating. So here I want to say the one more thing for you. So this is on about the complete process of cellular respiration. Cellular respiration means glucose breakdown was done at the place of cell means we call as a cellular respiration. And here if you see the cellular respiration 2 types, aerobic and anaerobic. And this anaerobic respiration was when the process they are liberating the lactic acid. In this anaerobic respiration process was done in the microbes also and we are calling that process as a fermentation. And this same cellular respiration where it was done means it was done in the cytoplasm and mitochondria. But in the prokaryotes this cellular respiration process was only done in the cytoplasm only. Why it was not done in the mitochondria means you know that. And after that in the eukaryotes it was done in the cytoplasm and also the mitochondria. Why means it contains the membrane bounded structures. And here I want to say the one more thing. If you take the mitochondria means it was called as with one more name. What we are calling means a powerhouse of the cell. Powerhouse of the cell means why we are calling as a powerhouse of the cell means most of the members they are saying that ATP they are storing and when our body was required the energy time this ATP will be breaking down into ADP and liberating the energy. That's why we are called as a mitochondria as a powerhouse of the cell. Exactly what you said is correct one. But there is a one more point I have for that. What is that one means? Oxidative phosphorylation. 4th point I said first. So there what happened means the ADP will be, there will be oxidative phosphorylation process time. It will be generating. Generating means it will be forming the new ATP molecules will be generating. In the formation of new ATPs will be taking place in the mitochondria. So that's why here what happened they will be able to generate the energy. That's why we are called the mitochondria as a powerhouse of the cell. And do you know that mitochondria who was discovered? Who was discovered the mitochondria means the mitochondria was discovered by Kolliker. What is the name of him? Kolliker. And who was named as a mitochondria? Who was named as a mitochondria means Benda. What is the name of him? Benda. So this is the complete process of cellular respiration. So we are discussed the total process of respiration and what are the steps means we already completed all steps we are completed. And about the human respiration was completed now. In the next class we are going to discuss the sum of the activities in our textbook. Thank you.